Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I want to talk about the marketing campaign I'm working on that's already underway right now. It is with House and Garden magazine in the United Kingdom. I did put an ad in the next 3 issues, which is for June, July, and August. The June issue it was already released a couple days ago. It was May 7th. So I'm excited about that. And then the July issue, obviously, it's going to come out the beginning of June. So I'm just waiting on just how their audience is going to respond. But there is the backstory to all of this, which I want to get into because I feel like it's important to share with other business owners where I started. So let me bring this up really quick here. All right. So I added it to the website just to let everyone know that one of my, actually it's that art piece right there, Earth, that's showing here, is the one that I used in the June issue. Now, the only thing that I look back on it now, this is the garden issue. So I don't think that this one fits the theme. I think I could have done better on that one. So what I'm going to do for the June issue is make sure that I get the theme from the sales executive, and then I'm going to try to match one of my art pieces with that theme, and I think it's going to flow and fit better. And then I also have the blog for it. Now the backstory is in the blog, and I posted that yesterday, May 8th. So the backstory is all here. The link to House and Garden is here. On Instagram, they got 2.3 million followers. And they also have their promo here for it. So I felt like this was a good opportunity for me to get the work out there. Now, backstory is I was initially contacted by Sophie in 2022. I think it was March 2022. And Sophie used to be the sales executive for the magazine. And obviously, this many years, about 4 years later, she just left last year. But she contacted me in March 2022 and offered the opportunity to have my work shown in the spring-summer campaign for the magazine. So it was supposed to be June, July, and August of 2022. And I just looked at the cost of it. And at the time, I had my work in a local art exhibition. And so my budget the studio budget just went completely into that. And so I couldn't take advantage of that opportunity. But I let her know if the return on investment from the exhibition was good, I would be happy to have my work shown in a magazine. but the exhibition, the return on investment wasn't good, and so I wasn't able to invest back into the studio even more. Um, and that was one of the turning points, I guess, in my progress, because I started spending less and less in terms of investing in the studio, um, in events, exhibitions, publications, and yeah, it was just the events became smaller, exhibitions became smaller, publications became smaller, and the because I was trying to I was trying to save money, conserve money, however I should put it. But yeah, it just didn't turn out well, and so that's why going into 2025, I was, I was pretty set on closing the studio. Like I started paying off everything that I had owed, in terms of business equipment and things like that. So I started paying off everything, and yeah, I paid off absolutely everything by the time I got to June, July of last year. And I started focusing on my personal life, and the studio was definitely going to wind down. Um, and then by the end of last year, I just felt like coming into 2026, I decided to give it one more swing, give it one more swing, because on my day job, everything was going really well. I had got a promotion. Um, I had gotten a raise, and then I got another raise after that. In April, I got another raise. So I got a promotion. With the promotion came a raise, and then that was last year. And then in April this year, we did our annual review, and I got a raise off of that. And so I thought to myself, I was actually telling my dad, because my dad still texts me, checking on me, right? So I was telling him that I'm gonna give it, one more try with getting the work out there, getting my artwork out there, getting my writing out there. Um, but after that, I was done. Like, if the return on investment isn't good, I'm done with the whole marketing thing. Um, but yeah, I just told him, like, if it doesn't work, if the return on investment is not good enough, then I'll definitely scale everything down for sure. I don't see myself like not creating anything anymore, because I would get bored otherwise if like I don't stay and capturing photography and creating art and writing. Is just the business side of it. I would definitely scale that all the way down. And I probably mentioned this before, but I'll probably just put everything on Fine Art America and have them manage everything. But I wouldn't. I would definitely. It would be much more of a hands-off approach, even more than it is right now, because everything is automated. Um, but it's just it's expensive. It's expensive. So this was my last my last try at it. Um, I don't know how their audience is going to respond. I don't know. But I will say that the executive team at the magazine, they all responded. They responded well to the work, and I actually have, because Conde Conde Nast, they're the publisher of House and Garden, but they're also the publisher of Vanity Fair in UK, and they're the publisher of, where's this other email from? Casa Tatler is the other email. So once I contacted them in April. Yeah, I contacted them in April last month after after over 4 years of getting that initial email. I contacted them and I was like, okay, I showed them the email that I got from Sophie initially, and they responded positively, and they sent me the information about pricing, how much that would cost. And I just thought to myself, well, I'm definitely going to take a swing at it. And so here is my work. Now, obviously they're going to send me in the mail the print copies of this issue and the future issues as well. But they sent me the proofs. They sent me the PDF files for the cover and for the page my work is on. So I'm happy about it. But if you look at my work compared to everyone else's, my work is very different. It's really different. It's really different. So I'm thinking that next month, I'm kind of going back and forth on what I want to feature here. Now, next month, my feature is not going to be this big. I actually paid a little bit extra for it on the June issue to have this. Normally, you get this squared here, and then if you want something larger than that, you would have to pay for this extra space here. So I went ahead and did that for this, only for this issue, but the next two issues, I'll probably have something like this. I have to figure out what I'm going to show. But like I said, I want to show something that's more in line with their style. Even though this one here by Laura is very, I don't know, it's different. This is really different. Like, this is different. This, I'm not sure what this is from Carla. But anyway, my first introduction to their audience, I wanted to go very bold, but I also wanted to use that earth color palette that I like with this series. So that it just encompasses my style, you know. Now, how many people will like that style? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But that's really what I wanted, you know, my first introduction to be. And I'm happy with that. But it's just that I compare it to the cover of the magazine. This is all flowers and garden. So in retrospect, I would have gone to, let's see. I mean, florals is easy. Gosh, I don't know. Maybe affable would have been okay. Maybe that would have been okay. It's just not my favorite. I wanted to put my favorite in this first issue. This one, I like Rusted Petals. This is actually one of my favorites. But even then, I still don't think it makes my top 5, you know, in terms of how I rank my work. I think Incandescence would have been interesting to have on there. But yeah, it now the sales exec actually mentioned this one. Like, she specifically mentioned this one. My issue with this one, which I guess it doesn't matter, but you know how old this photograph is? This I captured, it had to be 2000. Yeah, this is 2008. This is one of my original photographs, like, ever. But it fits, you know. The only downside is it's a landscape format. So if I'm looking at this space, this area, if you have something here that's landscape format, they can only make it so big for that column. So all this down here, I mean, it gets cut out, you know. So basically, if you're gonna purchase the extra space and you want to use up as much of that space as possible with the image, for this you would definitely go with a portrait format. So that's another reason why I picked this image. I guess if I was gonna stick with portrait too, let's see. I don't know. Petals Light is okay, but Petals Light is this one is 2017. But again, I really, 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 really wanted to have something new, because Earth is from last year. So it's the closest example of something that I've done recently. Because I'm thinking, like, if I photograph this same floral arrangement today, my approach would be different. It just would be. So, yes, I want to get back into capturing florals. My approach is probably going to be different, because I feel like I've grown in terms of creativity. But yeah, Rustic Petals is probably my best. This one's soul is okay, but not really. Doesn't really have that excitement I'm going for. Yep. So this one's not terrible either. This one's pretty recent. This is from 2023. So yeah, I'm going to, when they send me the initial email, because what'll end up happening next month, or at the end of this month, May, they'll send me an email requesting the proof, or the file for the proof, because obviously they start printing the next issue early. So I'm just going to ask them what the theme is, and then I'll try to match it a lot better than I did for the June issue. But yeah, it's just I'm very excited about it. And honestly, just in my spirit, I felt a shift, or like something changed, like a door opened. But again, there is no guarantee. You invest in the business, in your business, but there's no guarantee of the return on investment. You don't know if you're going to break even, are you going to make a profit, or are you going to be underwater? It's like you just don't know. And so you just put the best work out there that you can, and hope for the best results. But again, if the work matches the style their audience likes, you give yourself a better chance to have someone like your work. But my main focus, again, for this first issue is to let them see the best that I have. And then hopefully that will spark their interest into looking at whatever else I have, the other pieces that I have. Because in the description down here, I specifically state that I photograph various subjects, including architecture, landscape, abstracts. It's all there. So they know, okay, this is not the only thing that's in his collection or inventory. So I gave myself an out with that. So what I'm going to do is look through, I'm going to see how the first 2.5, 3 weeks go with it in terms of response, and go from there. Like I said, I did get an offer to show an advertisement like this in the 2 other magazines, which is a Vanity Fair for the UK, and then I think it was Casa Tadler. Yeah. But yeah, I've never spent this much. I've never spent this much on the campaign. I just never. But I told myself, okay, I'm gonna swing big on this last try, and definitely just see what happens, Now, this also includes, and I forgot to mention this, so here's where you can order the copy of it if you're not in the UK. What is this? I think it's $10, but that's sterling, in sterling. I don't know what the currency conversion is going to be on that. Yeah. And yes, the currency conversion, like for every sterling, it's like 76 cents for the US dollar. So even though it says $10 or $9.86, once you convert that to US dollars, it's going to be more expensive. And that's the other reason why, even with the Vanity Fair offer, I just can't do that right now. I cannot. But I'm keeping all these emails. I'm happy that the offer is on the table. I did let one of the reps know, or one of the sales execs know, that I'm going to see how this issue goes for June for House and Garden before I commit to something else. But yeah, it's a great opportunity. It really is. And I would say if you're going to do the same thing in terms of marketing in these high profile magazines, really look at their publications. Like, look at what they're showing, what they're featuring, whether it's on their Instagram. Just look at their style and which of your pieces is going to fit into that the best. Look at what their audience is responding to on social media. But when you see like a post have 11,000, this post has 11,000 likes. This one has over 5,800. This one over 9,600. It's just, if you're going to spend a bunch, make sure their audience is active, you know? And so this is what I do, because a lot of times I'll have publications contact me, and I just deleted one. I should have kept it. But I have publications contact me saying, okay, you can take out an ad in our publication, and it's usually $200, $300, something like that. And sometimes it's more. And then I go to their social media profiles and I look at their engagement from their audience, and it's like non-existent. So that's not a good investment. You always want to work with people who they already have a very strong level of engagement from their audience. So then you know that a lot of eyeballs are going to be on your work, because that's what you're paying for. You're paying for that attention from their audience. And hopefully, they like your work, the quality of your work, the style of your work. And you just have to be ready for that. So before I got to this point of sending the inquiry to the publication, I redid the entire website. Like I updated the entire website. And I'm still going through some tweaks on the website. But I really wanted the website to look like I'm already at the level that they're on. So if you are submitting to a high profile magazine, when the executives go to your website, they go to your social media profiles, it has to look like, even if you don't have a large audience at all, which I don't have a large audience, but your work has to have the quality of someone who can have a large audience, or should have a large audience, right? So the quality of your work has to be very good. The website has to be really good. And a lot of times they'll go through here and they'll check all the buttons to make sure all your buttons work. The links on the page go where they're supposed to, like all of that. They check everything, because they want to make sure that if they promote you to their audience, you're not going to be a terrible reflection on them as publishers or distributors. So that was my focus. The first quarter of this year was update the website, get it looking the best that I possibly can. That's one of the reasons I integrated the video into the homepage. Like I really wanted to have a great first impression to everyone who visited the site. Like that's, you have to nail that. So the publications or galleries or whoever ends up contacting me, I'm going to expect the same level of quality and professionalism from them. If they don't have that, if they're not showing that, then I'm not investing time, money, resources into collaborating or working with them or advertising through them. And not only because my resources are limited, but because it's like there has to be a standard, you know? So you can't say yes to every single offer that you get. And like I said in the beginning, the sales exec from the magazine contacted me first. But again, that's after looking at even the previous website that I had before I went through updating it, because that was from 4 years ago. But you just have to present yourself like you have already arrived before you actually arrive. And you have to take yourself that seriously in order for executives to take you seriously. So now, what am I going to do next? I will say, like, if this marketing campaign through House and Garden doesn't go very well, which I just think that it's gonna go well enough, right? For me to break even at least. But I'm thinking that, this is what I was looking at yesterday. Hold on. I'm going to, and even before I get to evaluating my progress with this, I am looking at scheduling meetings with designers, which means that I'm going to actually need a better portfolio, like an actual book. So I went to Hartnack. Am I pronouncing this right? Hartnack and Co. I might be messing up their name. Hartnackandco.com. I went to the website, and again, you can see presentation. They have video on their homepage. And I just think that when you have video like this, it makes your brand, your company feel more real. You know, like you're actually a living person. So, yeah, I took a lot of inspiration from websites like this. We are a small family-owned artisan bindery who specialize in making special one-off items that make a statement, meticulously handcrafted in Britain. So I need a portfolio like this, and I have one, but I can't switch out the art pieces. Everything's set, in the binding. So I want one that whenever I create something new, or if I want to promote a certain series or collection, then I can switch everything out whenever I want to, and promote different pieces whenever I want. So these are really good. I don't know if they have, I might have to do something more custom. But this is where my mind is going with it. So I'm going to need one of these. And then I'm going to have to try to schedule meetings with design agencies and sell the work in person, which I'm not crazy about doing, but I think it's going to be more effective. And then the other thing that I'm looking at right now is events, going to different interior design events, looking at their style, looking at the artwork that they're using. Because regardless, I'm going to create more contemporary fine art prints. Like, regardless of what happens to the studio, I'm just going to keep creating work. How I share that work, is probably going to be drastically different if things don't work out the way I want. But I just don't see myself not creating, like I said. But yeah, I want the opportunity to show my work in person more. And so I'm probably going to start with 10 agencies and reach out to them once this new portfolio book is ready. And like I said, I'm going to, because the style of these agencies can be completely different, right? So depending on the style of the agency, my work is going to switch, is going to adjust to fit their specific style. And like I said, that's why I need something that is more, I can adjust it a lot more. So I think I'm going to use this one, just contact them, let them look at the cover that I have, because the cover that I have now is, I think it's in the other room. I can't just grab it. It's acrylic. It's a clear acrylic, and it's got my logo on it, right? So is it on this screen? Hold on, let me check my other screen. Yeah, it looks like this. It's clear acrylic on the cover, but underneath that is just the white with the black logo in the studio name under there. And I absolutely love it, right? So if they can do that, and then have this, I think it's called post screw binding. So if I can get this binding on it, that would be awesome. Can I expand? Yep. Yeah, so there's the screws, you take them out, you take the front cover off, and you have, you can have the clear sleeves like this to hold your work in, but I'm only going to use the clear sleeves because I have photography as the medium. If I was doing something like canvas that was on canvas, I wouldn't necessarily need to put them in sleeves. But yeah, it's really nice. So there's different styles. There's leather. There's different material that they use. I don't know if I haven't seen acrylic though. So I'm going to ask them if they have acrylic, if they can put an acrylic face on it. And I'm going to show them what I have right now and ask them if they can do the same thing, but put the screw binding on there. Because like I said, right now I don't have the ability to take the pages out or insert new artwork into it and take out some of the older pieces. It's just printed directly on papers, and it's like a book. So I'm thinking this is more this is better. Now obviously this one starts at what, 170, almost 173. They have different sizes up to 19 by 13 inches. Gosh, I think I'm gonna go with an 11 by 14. And then put 8 by 12s in there. I'm not sure how I wanna do this. Because here's the thing. If I just take the prints, right? Because I've got a lot of 8 by 12s. But some of them are portrait format. Some of them are landscape. So I don't want the person reviewing my portfolio to keep having to turn the book from portrait to landscape, back to portrait, back to landscape. So I'm going to need something that's 12 inches high and 12 inches wide. Yeah. So if the 8 by 12 is landscape or portrait, if it's in a 12 by 12, they can just turn it regularly without having to turn the book, you know. Yeah, I think the 12 by 12 is a good way to go. Because it definitely would have to be 12 inches high. Yeah, I think that would work. And then what I would do, because it does switch back and forth between landscape and portrait format, I would put like a white insert in there just as a background. So as they turn the sleeves, everything still looks better. It doesn't have these empty spaces on the page. That's just the clear sleeve. So I think that would be the way to go, is a 12 by 12. So the only other option they have is a 19 by 13, and I just think that's too big. I definitely don't want to carry that around. Yeah, because see, they have portrait, landscape. How many pages do you need to fit? Oh man, I want to say 20, but maybe not even that much, because it's double-sided. So if you want 20 prints, you only need 10 sleeves. I would still probably go 12 to 15. Just to be safe. And then they have all these different options. Inner pockets, no. Want to keep it as clean, looking as clean as possible. So this will be $207.45. So about $208 for this particular one. Now in terms of the cover design, I don't know how much they're going to add on to the price, but yeah, these are some options here. Yeah, they got the leather, starts at $260. Yeah, the leather is nice as a material, but they don't have it on a rigid surface. Like if they had a rigid surface and then they covered it with leather, then that would be good. But they just have the leather piece by itself. So it's really bendable. I do want something that's more solid. They have a binder, but no, I don't like the binder. Like these rings here, I don't like that look at all. It just feels like you can buy a binder anywhere. Even though they do have the outside is nice, I just don't like that look on the inside. And it costs almost $350 for the smallest one. Yeah, they have the leather. This one starts at $90. But again, it's not it's just the cover's too bendable. I would actually like them to put that. It would be good if they I don't know, I don't want to use the word glue. But yeah, they would have to glue it on top of something that's more rigid like this, but have the leather there on top. And then have that in black with the gold or silver over here on the edge with the screws. That would be nice. I don't know, I can ask them about that too. And then here are the sheets, and they're not expensive. The protective sleeves is starting at about $5 for a pack of 10. And then if you don't want your work in the sleeve, but you still want them in that portfolio book, and then you have these file strips, and you just glue it. You just peel off that cover, and then there's the adhesive underneath, and you just stick your work, the edge of your work onto there, and you're able to put it into the binder that way, which is really cool. But yeah, I don't want to do that because, especially if your photography is on the darker side of it, in terms of color, you just start seeing pieces of lint, and it just, oh my goodness, it's just too exposed. But yeah, well, I can't recommend them because I haven't actually ordered anything from them before, but this is definitely the direction that I'm going in. Um, and like I said, I want to start locally and then spread, um, probably head south and then probably a little bit north, into Georgia, and see how many connections I can make, and just build those business relationships. And so I think this year that would be where my focus would shift to. Because up to this point, I mean, I've worked with people in completely different countries, overseas. I think the first gallery I worked with was in Switzerland. So when there's that much of a distance between you and the curator, it can make it more difficult to keep that business relationship going because you're not there, you know. It's just you're not there. But I will continue to share information about my progress on Instagram. Now, the studio page, I have not been posting nearly as much. Um, but my personal page is I'm posting a bunch of stuff. Sometimes I post about my photography, or I post about random stuff. It's just, you know what I mean? Um, and right now I'm redoing I started with redecorating my studio space, my home office space, and it just spread to everything else because I kept finding stuff that I like. So yeah, I'm sharing my progress. Do I even have a Where did I put a photo of where? Oh, I posted it on the YouTube post tab. Here we go. So I'm going to end on this. This is my progress so far. I don't know how many times I've showed you guys my space before, but I went a little crazy. I went really crazy. And yeah, I upgraded so much stuff. Everything that you see on the walls, it really wasn't there before. Oh boy. Um, yeah, most of April was just redecorating stuff. Um, and my desk, I need another desk. I went to IKEA and I looked at their the electrical ones that are you can adjust the height. I looked at those and I definitely want one of those, but probably not the ones that they sell. I want something that's more of a premium feel to it and probably a little bit longer than what they have. Because this desk I have right now, this is 70 inches long. So I just like a lot of space. And it's probably, I want to say 34 to 36 inches deep, like depth. So my monitors can sit further back from me, and they're still on the desk. And then I have enough room or a lot of room for my mouse and keyboard, trackpad, my notepad that I write in a lot of times. So I just like a lot of space on my desk. The lighting, I did order these online. They did like the stuff that I did order online. It didn't. It's not exactly how it looks in the picture when you on the websites. So I kept running into that problem. But same thing with these lights, but I kept them anyway. So now these lights are my studio lights and they're my lights for the office, the living room space. So they're both, and that's really what I was going for because before, when I would have to stream, record video, I would have to use my umbrella lights, and the umbrella lights with the reflectors, it's just they're so big, they take up so much space, and I got so tired of taking them up and down, so I just kept one of them up. Um, and then when I was done working, of course, it looks awkward because I'm in the living room space and there's this giant umbrella light still up. So that got annoying. So yeah, I got these LED floor lamps, and they're adjustable. They're dimmable, I should say. So yeah, they can get so bright that I don't need my umbrella studio light anymore. Um, I'm almost finished with all of this, but yeah, I went overboard. I really did go over budget. So yeah, I think for the month of May, I'm gonna scale some things back as much as I can But yeah, if you see all those wires on the floor, I need a desk with that tray in the back, so my wire management can be a lot better. But the desk I'm looking at is at least $1,000. And then the other one I saw that I like, it's almost $2,000. So considering how much I've already spent, um, I'm not gonna get that right now. But yeah, I'm shopping around to see what I like. But that's my progress. I hope that you guys got something out of this because I kind of jumped all over the place. But I'm gonna continue to make progress. Um, and again, I do have to scale back in terms of marketing because of how much I've spent for this 3 month campaign. Um, oh, and then there's a digital showcase for House and Garden, which I know it's here. There we go. So before I go, this is the digital showcase, which you buy as an ad as well. So it's a part of their website. And again, you see this one is here as well. So you pay for the print issue, and then you can add on a digital showcase, right? For advertising space. And you cannot buy the digital showcase by itself. You have to buy the print issue, advertisement, and then you can add on the digital showcase if you want to. So I decided to go all out and buy the print issue and the digital showcase for all 3 issues. So for June, July, and August. And this is what it looks like. So you send in your art piece file, the text down here at the bottom, and here's mine. Excuse me. And also make sure that, especially with the print file, when you send the publication your work, they're going to specifically tell you to send them the work in CMYK. Am I saying that right? CMYK? Right, and not RGB. So your work, the color is going to look a little bit off. So when you convert it from RGB to CMYK, just open it up in Photoshop, flatten the image, right, when you convert it to CMYK from RGB, and that'll help keep the color shift from being too much, like too pronounced, or too drastic of a color shift. That'll keep it down. But yes, when you send your work to publications, they print in CMYK, which is a different color profile than RGB. So if you send them an RGB file and you're really picky about the color, which you should be, when they print it, the colors are going to shift because it's not RGB anymore. It's CMYK. Now, I barely use CMYK because I never send CMYK files to the photo lab. But when you send your work to a publication, they're gonna want it to be CMYK. That's very important. And there's nothing you can do about it, because especially if you're really picky about the color of the colors in your work, you just have to you just have to go with it. It's the colors are gonna shift. With mine, the shadows aren't as deep. The red color in one of the stones, it's not as, and the same thing happens depending on which paper you print your work on. You'll see a color shift. Because papers, they have their own color tone embedded in them. So yeah, test everything out as much as you possibly can. But yeah, that's all I have for this episode. I hope everyone got something out of it, and I will see you guys next time. Everyone take care.